The one thing that is true now, that has been true for a couple hundred years, that will always be true, regardless of technology or how humanity changes, and that is that the businesses that prioritize human connection win. Especially now in the world of AI, as AI is making it easier and easier to create more and more and more. When you prioritize human relationships, long term, you will win.
All right. Welcome back to another edition of the SalesSpark Podcast. I am your host, Jason Barnaby, and I am so excited to be here today with my friend, Lindsay Tjepkema. Did I do it right?
Perfect.
Look at that.
Nailed that
Simple
landing.
pleasures in life. You will, and when you look at the show notes, folks, you will understand why that is a big victory for me, because it doesn't look like what I just said. But Lindsay was kind enough to give me a nice little cheat so that I could do it. Lindsay, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. We're starting our week with this, and so I can't think of a better way to get started.
I'm so stoked to hear just a little bit more about your story. I first met you when you did Rise and Thrive. I believe that was season 1, was it not?
It was
the first group?
We were the beginners. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for those of you who want to know what that is, we'll put a link in the show notes because it's a cool thing that you might want to get involved in. And I got to see you get up and rock the stage, and I was very inspired. And I think I even came up afterwards and told you that I had been inspired by what you said. And that was pre-COVID, was it not?
Oh yeah, it was 2019, or it was March 2020. So it was literally like days before we all knew what was happening.
Oh,
yeah.
That's right. Because it was the beginning.
March 5th, 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Friday, March 13th, I will never forget. That's the day the world shut down. Wow. I did not realize that was, wow, how serendipitous that it happened at that time.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to have you for a number of reasons. One, you are a podcast guru, and we're going to get into that and why we should do it. But before we get there, I'm just curious, a little bit of your history. How did you get into this world of leading business and getting into podcasting? Just tell us your story.
Oh goodness. Well, I'm a marketer, but first and foremost, I've been in B2B marketing for 20 years now.
Wow.
I'm one of the weirdos that actually went to school for it, and then I got a master's degree in it. I'm just
I didn't know you had a master's.
Yeah, in
Wow.
and integrated marketing communications. Like I
went
am a
all
nerd.
in.
All in. I feel like most people have a fun story about how they, stumbled into marketing. This has been my path from day one. So yes, I'm one of those weird marketers that started from day one knowing that this is what I wanted to do. I've worked at large companies and small companies and agencies, and I've been out on my own a couple of times now, and I've just been obsessed with being that connective tissue between a brand and its audience, building trust and building relationships. And I was working at a company called Marcis that is based there in Indianapolis, and they went on to become acquired by SAP. But while I was there, I was running brand and content globally, and as part of that, launched a podcast. And this was in 2017, I think, when that was a pretty new idea. People are like, a P2P podcast, who's going to listen to that? It's called Marketer and Machine, and we talked about like AI and
wow, all the way back in 2017. Look at you being on the cutting edge of things.
So, well, not me, it was the people I was talking to. They were way smarter than I ever was.
Okay.
But that led me to realize that there was a really big need, specifically for B2B marketing teams, in podcasting. I saw that there was a big future in it, in video and audio content, but there was no way to measure it. There was no way to use it for sales. There was no way to hand over that content to the sales team and say, hey, use this, to drive your conversations forward.
Right.
That led me to seeing something I couldn't unsee, which was the opportunity to start a business, specifically a podcast and video marketing platform, specifically serving B2B marketers. So I left my marketing role and sat in the founder's seat and became founder and CEO of what would become a venture-backed marketing technology SaaS platform.
Wow.
Did that for 5 years, raised 3 rounds of venture capital, and rode that crazy wave through COVID and banking collapses and economic shifts and all kinds of crazy things. Learned a lot. And I left the company about a year and a half ago in early 2024. And now I take all those learnings as a marketer and as a founder and a CEO, and I serve other founders and marketing teams to help them build their companies, specifically by starting with brand and the trust and relationships that are built through strong story and brand. So there you go. It's my long-winded answer for you.
And so, and your exit from the company, you also did a big exit from the city where you lived. So that was a big...
I did. Yeah.
That was a big move.
Yes. We left in the Indianapolis area for Boston, literally the same month that I left my company. Yeah.
I remember, I'm not on Facebook very much at all, but I do remember it must have been that a lot of mutual contacts of ours were responding, but seeing all of your stuff for sale on Facebook, and I was like, huh? Wow. And then I was like, well, they must be, moving to whatever you're doing to get rid of all your stuff. And then I was like, oh, we're moving to Boston. I was like, oh, holy goodness. That's wow. So,
there was definitely some catharsis there. We got rid of too much stuff, but I think with everything that was happening in my life, it was like, it's all gotta go. We just gotta, we were on fire starters. We had to burn it down, right?
That's right. So did you get to Boston and look at your husband and like, you think we could call those people back and ask for our couch or?
Yes. Especially when we had to just buy a lot of it all over again. I was like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
I don't know. We do weird things when we're going through massive change. So
when you, let's talk about, because I know that there are people out there who are like, I've thought about maybe founding a business. I've thought about doing these things. And I know this is going to be a very broad brush question. And you're probably going to go, man, where do I even start? Biggest lesson you learned being a founder, biggest challenge you overcame being a founder.
Oh man.
See,
well, I
told
didn't.
you.
Yeah, it is. First, I never set out to be a founder, right?
Okay.
I was solving a problem that I couldn't unsee, that I didn't want anybody else to solve because I just saw it so clearly, right? So I was chasing a vision, not trying to be a thing.
Okay.
Oh goodness. Well, one of the biggest lessons learned, and I actually share this a lot, is your vision as the founder is the differentiator. It is profoundly unique. It is the why. Even if somebody else had the exact same idea, the vision is different because the context is different. Your lived experiences are different.
I love that.
What you bring to it, your why, your purpose is different. And so you have to embrace it. If you don't, you lose it, and you lose what makes you, sure, but like the business special. And you will be surrounded by people with good intentions, with not so good intentions, people who are trying to help, people who are self-serving, a whole hodgepodge of people. But you'll be surrounded by all of their voices who are trying to tell you what to do with your vision, which will ultimately, if you listen to too many of it, it'll dilute it and you'll lose it. So the big takeaway there is you have to learn discernment, and you've got to protect your vision at all costs, because that's the thing.
How does one learn discernment? Is it a trial and error thing? Like, well, that blew up in my face and that person was lying to me and that didn't work out. What does that look like?
Unfortunately, I think that's how most of us learn it. That's how I learned it. But I mean, I have a trusty little acronym, which is BRAVE, which is making decisions in alignment with 5 things.
Okay.
Which is your brand, how you want to be perceived long-term, and long-term is the key. Relationships, if it's going to establish or strengthen relationships with the people you need to know, like, and trust you, again, long-term.
Okay.
Audacity. So is it...
Love some
I know
audacity.
you like that word.
I love some audacity.
Are you playing it safe, or are you actually at least holding space? Not like you don't have to be crazy all the time, but are you at least holding space for creative, audacious thought? And this one is huge. Is it in alignment with your values? Yours, the businesses, like, have you even considered it? Do you even have values documented? And then E, are you chasing positive energy, or does it feel like a grind, which is like that gut check? And I have found that those 5 things, whether it's a big decision, should I raise venture capital? Should I hire this person? Should we build this thing? Should I even go out on my own? Or something small, like, should I send that email? Should I post that LinkedIn post? If you are in alignment with those 5 things, it's at least most likely to be in alignment with your vision. If any one of them is off, you got to pause and
man,
at least reflect on it.
That is I've never heard anybody use an acronym like that just spoke so clearly to my soul. And I am going to go back and re-listen and copy down Brave and stick it on my monitor, because
I'll send you one of these. I've got a whole little notebook for it.
Okay.
And there might be a book coming in next fall. So
you might have some marketing material around some of these things. You might have some collateral if I'm speaking the language.
The marketer in me sees the marketer in you. Yes.
And I feel seen. Thank you for that. So how many people, when you, I'm trying to think of how I want to say this, because I similarly built this thing out of nothing. And Brian Neal and I, we go back and forth a lot on who came up with this phrase. And I think we kind of co-created it, but it's kind of goofy, but it's true. And we say this all the time when we do it, that we create something and it wasn't a thing until it was, and now it is. And I remember, Jenny Robbins, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember I hired Jenny to help me figure out my framework for my business. And we were sitting in one of our sessions, and I was a little frustrated because I didn't feel like we were getting anywhere from what I could see.
Sure.
That's why you hire people that are smarter and have done this more, because she knew exactly where we were going. And I'll never forget, I had my head down. I was looking at, doing something on the paper, and she was at the whiteboard, and she goes, "Well, there's your framework." And I was like, I have a framework? What is it? And I remember seeing it, and I was like, that makes so much sense to me. And I internalized it. And then it was, but can I say this out loud? Are people going to think I'm nuts? I think people are going to think I'm crazy, so I'm probably not going to say anything. So what was that like for you? Because you've said this a couple times, and I like what you said, that you saw something that you couldn't unsee, which means lots of other people were not seeing it clearly. And so you had this. What was it like the first time you said that out loud, and what did people say? Like, who'd you tell, and what was the response?
For Brave, or for that when I went out and started?
When you went out and started.
Casted?
Oh
man. It depended who I was talking to.
Okay.
Fellow marketers, content creators, brand builders, B2B marketers were like, "Oh my gosh, when can I have it? This is needed.
Wow.
We need it now. Like, sign me up. Can I be like, how do I get in?" And investors were like, is that going to be a thing? B2B podcasting, who's going to listen to a podcast from a brand? Like, some thought it laughable and kind of like chuckled me out of the room.
Wow.
Others, thought it was cute. Others thought it was a fun idea, but not worth investing in. And so, it goes to show that those who were in the seat were like, "Oh my gosh, need it yesterday." And those who were looking for pattern recognition, I talk a lot about pattern recognition. Those who were looking for pattern recognition about what makes a quote unquote good company, a good startup, a fundable business. It was such a new idea that they didn't see pattern recognition there. And so they didn't see it as a good idea. So,
and then, so we talked about lesson learned. What was the biggest challenge you overcame, you think?
I think going back kind of to the last thing that we just talked about was trusting myself, trusting my gut, trusting my own instinct, and realizing, like, going back to what got me into it in the beginning, which was my own gut and expertise.
And so did the brave thing come while you were at Casted, or did it come after?
After.
Really?
through a lot of pain. Yeah. I mean, because you ask, like, what was the biggest thing I overcame? Knowing that the biggest challenge I overcame was trusting myself and trusting my gut, which innately means, like, that I lost it. And I wasn't doing that for a long time.
Oh.
And
say more about that. What did that look like? Did you realize it because I think a lot of us go through that, and it's like, once you look back, you're like, well, of course that's what I was doing. But in the moment, I think sometimes we realize it and we don't want to admit it. Sometimes we don't realize it at all. What was it like for you?
Well, goodness, when you're first time founder and CEO, which I mean, I know I'm talking about founder CEO, but it's also when you're stepping into any big role, like, this is sales. So your first role as a CRO or as a CSO or as a VP of sales, like, when you step into something that's so big, even when it's right, or even when it's 100% right, and I'm not talking about imposter syndrome, I'm talking about just stepping into a role that you're like, yes, this is it. And then you're surrounded by all those voices, some of which are well-meaning, but they're like, what you need to do is this. Or like, I believe in you so much that I think you should do this. And then you have those that are like, well, you're never going to make it unless. Or like, pat you on the head, like, this is cute, but if you're gonna... So you're surrounded by a ton of voices, and then a lot of them are self-serving, and a lot of them are have their own agendas, that you're so far outside of your comfort zone and anything that resembles a comfort zone that you start to lose touch with your own instinct, because it's one of the many voices among the others. And you just start to think, well, all of these other people probably know better than I do. And that's the beginning. Like, it goes from seeking advice to trusting others more than yourself. And I think that's where things get out of balance. Yeah. And that definitely happened for me. Yeah. I mean, my board and investors and team members and, just people who either were in my corner or were shouting, from the cheap seats. And, you start to lose touch with your, like, nope, gonna do it this way. This is how it needs to be done. So
why is it that people in the cheap seats tend to have the loudest voices? I've never really understood that, but I don't know if it's because there are so many of them and it just collectively it's loud, but it's like,
it's safe.
Ooh, that's a great point.
They're in a place where, if you're in the cheap seats, what skin do you have in the game? What have you got to lose? So you yell really loud. Yeah.
And it's super easy to sit out there and just wait for people to make a mistake, which I've also seen as well. And, I'm curious if you experience this. I have experienced this on some level. I don't think probably to the level you did because of the funding and all the stuff that you did. But I tell people a lot that when you start something and you really go after it, and even people who are close to you, I find a lot of their fears get projected on you in, I'm putting this in air quotes, in their advice to you. And the other thing that I realized too was that a lot of the comments that seem hateful or mean or that tear down, really what, and people may disagree with me on this, but I've had it happen enough, and I'm curious if you had the similar thing. Really what it is jealousy in disguise.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like jealousy, and it doesn't look like jealousy, which is what makes it so hard, because it hurts. And, now that I've had a lot of years of recognizing this, I'm like, oh, that's jealousy showing up again. But in the moment, it feels like a gut punch or, a smack in the face, or a friend who's turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
And did you experience that? Did you know that it was jealousy when it was happening?
Yeah. And the thing to me is, like, you never really know if it is or not, like, because you're not the person. All you know is how it feels to you, which is really painful. It can feel like abandonment. It can feel like judgment. It can feel like, a bait and switch or whiplash. And, I don't even know if other people, like whoever it is that's, the source of that feeling even knows. Like, I don't think they would be like, I'm jealous of this person. It just.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
I've gotten a lot of, she just thinks she's so, and, who does she think she is kind of thing. And I think that when you reach for something, and especially when you're vulnerable about it, which, I love what, like, everything that you are and that you stand for and that you share so openly. Vulnerability opens you up to even more.
It sure does.
Because I think that when it's been my experience that when you open yourself up deeply and say, hey, I'm struggling with this thing. Yeah. This has been really hard. This has been really challenging for me. People will see that. And what you can often think is genuine and honest and like, I'm opening up to this person because I feel safe. They can see that and be like, well, she or he has all these things, this perceived, successful business, or is raising venture capital, or has this life situation, or this family situation, or this financial situation, and yet they're still whatever. And then that can come back to you. And so I think that it can be really, really difficult to be in a situation where you're doing things for the first time. You're making big moves. You're trying big things. You're putting yourself out there. You're like living outside of your comfort zone, and then to turn around and try to be vulnerable and talk about it with people who may not be ready or willing or able to receive that in a way of like, wow, I love what Jason's doing. I love how he's building. I love, what Lindsay's trying, and I'm going to support them, as opposed to like, they're doing all this and it's just, I think that unfortunately there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. In light of all the challenges, in light of all the hardships, and all in light of, I'm sure, strained and probably some lost relationships and things that happened through this, would you do it all again?
Only if I knew I could do it entirely differently.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, completely differently. Otherwise, I don't know that I would.
Interesting.
No, maybe.
Okay.
I'm just one of those like, and I'm wondering if you're this way, where it's like, what's the point in even asking? Because it's like, it's impossible to even know if you'd be where you are now if you didn't,
Yeah.
So
I constantly struggle with this juxtaposition of, because I'm just inherently impatient.
What's that like?
Yeah, you have no idea, right? And this juxtaposition for me is yes, and I know what I'm about to say. I know. I know that I am who I am because of all of the things that I have gone through, and those things have made me who I am. And those things came at the time that I was ready to receive them and learn the lessons and all that bullshit. And I fucking wish that it just would have happened and like I could be done and move the hell on, because it's like, really? Did it have to take 12 years?
Yeah.
To get?
Did it have to be so painful?
Seriously.
I wish that I feel like everybody probably feels this way, but do you ever wish that you could go back and redo it with what you know now? Like,
oh, every day.
I learned. So what I wouldn't trade is what I've learned. Right.
There we go.
So
yeah, I agree with that.
I look back at, who I was and what I knew personally and professionally, and about myself and about others and about business and about sales, and before stepping into the CEO and founder seat, and like what I know now, I wish that I could take, and this is why people are repeat founders, because it's like, if I could take everything I know now and do it all over again, it would be completely different. Who I partnered with would be completely different. Totally. And how I approached it and how I was as a leader and how I showed up would be completely different. But I don't think I want to go through the gauntlet again, because it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, and your gauntlet was different. I think we all have our own gauntlet, but
Me too.
to your point, like, and I've shared this on the podcast before, like, I worked at the Target warehouse. My house went into foreclosure for a minute, and I fell into some pretty depressed times, and things were not great. And yet, here I am with these lessons learned. And yes, and I also know that those things have allowed me to become a different person that I am now. And because of that, I'm a different business person. I'm a different leader. I'm a different fire starter. I'm a different coach. I'm a different, all the things. So yeah, I get that. I just hate, I hate that juxtaposition because I really wish, like, I get it all. And yet I wish I could, snap my fingers.
But see, the thing is, like, I'm going to like flip the mics here and like make you uncomfortable. But like, you're sharing that. And you're sharing your experiences, which is making it okay for other people to share theirs. Because what we were just talking about being vulnerable and people being like, oh, they just think they're so. Because from the outside, like, you can look like you're, just covered in orange and, shining bright and burning bright. And if you look too shiny, then others will be like, well, what are they complaining about?
Right.
And I definitely faced that. Faced that. But if you're not shiny enough, then, people are like, well, what are you even doing? Like, why would I partner with you? Why would I buy from you? Why would I work with you?
Right.
And the more we talk about it and put ourselves out there at the risk of any naysayers being like, oh, they're oversharing, or who do they think they are? Whatever it is, it makes it safer to talk about these things, which being a founder, stepping into something big and trying something new and different is really hard.
Yeah,
it
is
so hard, and it's so lonely, we need to have more conversations like this because we have to be able to say, I know I just hit $1 million in revenue, or $50 in revenue, or made my car payment, or bought a car, or put food on the table, like whatever it is. I know I just did this, but here's where I'm struggling, and here's where I need to talk about it. And it's places like this and what you're doing that make those conversations.
I really appreciate that. All right, I want to talk a little bit before we get to rapid fires. I want to talk a little bit about give me the overview of what you're doing now, because I last year was contacted by a company and said, hey, you'll appreciate this as a founder and a creator. They said, hey, do you teach salespeople how to incorporate storytelling into the sales process? Hold on. Yes, I do. What is it that you need? And that wound up being an opportunity for me to build content that I had not built yet, but that was in me. And that's been really fun. I've had a couple of engagements with them that will now be a product that I will go to market with in 26.
Yay!
I love, I've always been a storyteller. I don't think I always realized that I was a storyteller. But I have realized that being in business and incorporating that into sales. And I tell people my first ever sales job, I was a newspaper carrier, and I was trying to win a trip to see the Cubs in Chicago, and I was 10. And I didn't say anything about the newspaper. I knocked on the door and I went, hello, would you like to help me win a trip to see the Chicago Cubs and see my first ever Major League Baseball game? And then I just went with big eyes. Who's going to say no to a 10-year-old? And it was let's see, how old would I have been? Just the 80s. So it was 81. Still had the big red afro from, carried over from the 70s, and these big blue eyes. And I won. I hit my quota in 2 of my 3 streets. And so the power of storytelling is so powerful. And I know you said that you're doing some of that now. Why did you choose that space, that niche, that lane?
It chose me.
I can't
Ooh,
help it.
Okay. I like
Probably
that.
like you.
I like that.
That's the big broad answer. But like, why now? Why this? Why? So first of all, that's who I am. Second of all, everything that I learned at Casted and as 20 years in B2B marketing, the one thing that is true now that has been true for a couple hundred years that will always be true, regardless of technology or how humanity changes, and that is that the businesses that prioritize human connection win. Thus the name of my company, which is Human Brands Win. So when you prioritize human relationships long term, you will win. So especially now in the world of AI, as AI is making it easier and easier to create more and more and more, the thing that stands out is not more, it's original content. What you and I are doing right now. None of this content existed before, 30 minutes ago.
Wasn't a thing until it was, and now it is.
Exactly. And so those two things combined, how do you cut through the noise, especially in AI? Well, it's through human connection, it's conversations. So it's capturing those for founders, especially, to help their businesses grow through original content. And then I have just found a way to both teach and coach and mentor and advise. So I do a fair amount of kind of founder therapy. And then by working with their marketing teams to harness it. So record your content, ring it out, fuel all of the different marketing channels that make sense for your business and grow. And so I've just seen this need. I've seen this need among founders and among marketing teams. And so I'm here to help.
That's so awesome. And I would imagine, because you know better than anybody, that it is lonely at the top. So I would imagine once you get behind those closed doors, whether it's virtual or real with those founders, like they're just, water falling at the mouth and you're like, yep. And the thing that though those conversations are hard and though you can see the pain that those folks are having, one of the things I love about those conversations is for them to understand, and you're so good at this because you've walked it, to let them know that they're not alone. Because I think that's one of the hardest, like, does anybody get the shit that I wade through every single day and the myriad voices that are screaming, whispering, yell at whatever it is, like all day, every day, nonstop. And I think those of us who've been there, we think nobody else is dealing with this. And then you get to talk to some of these folks and you're like, and I'm sure you've said this, you're like, yeah, me too. I get it. And that I find so much release of pressure when I find that other people are dealing with similar things that I've dealt with. So I'm so excited that you are out there with those folks because they need it. They need, to your point, the founders therapy. I mean, you could probably hang a shingle.
Seriously. They sign up for founder brand. Like that's what I'm selling is grow your company by growing your founder brand. But they stay for the founder therapy. Like it's like,
come for the brand, stay for the therapy.
Yeah. There's a lot of tears and there's a lot of really special moments that I'm just really grateful that I get to be there for. Because you're right. I mean, there aren't a whole lot of marketers who have been venture-backed CEOs. And so I feel got to use it for something, right?
That's that's fantastic. All right, Lindsay, well, we've reached the place in the podcast where we are going to go through some rapid fire questions. I've got 6 total for you. First one is for you to send. Would you want to send a cold call, a cold email, or a LinkedIn DM, and why?
Email. Because I would rather receive one. So I don't like getting phone calls. I don't like getting LinkedIn. I don't like getting pitch slapped on LinkedIn.
Love that phrase. I've used that phrase a lot.
Email.
Okay. So I think for those listening, I think this is very interesting. It reminds me a little bit. Have you ever read The 5 Love Languages, that book?
Yes.
Okay. So part of the thesis of that book is we love in the way that we would like to be loved. So I think that's interesting that what you would do is, so maybe as you are listening to this is the thing that you do what you would also like to receive. I think that's a good point.
Also words of affirmation. So in case anybody's wondering.
There we go. Okay. All right. Book, podcast, or resource every sales pro should know.
Okay. The sales one is Challenger Sale. It's one of the few actually like sales books that I have read. And I was like, dang, this is really good. I think there's a lot of like sales and marketing there.
Okay.
But then bigger picture, Dare to Lead. I just feel like everybody needs to read it because Brené's
the shit. Let's just say
amazing.
it. Yeah, she's pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend, because my Enneagram tends, I'm a 7. What are you on the Enneagram? Do you know? 3?
I'm a 3. Oh yeah.
I think I probably could have called that.
Hardcore 3. I can't. Yeah.
There's a part of me as a 7 that I kind of buck when people are really popular. I'm like, I don't want to listen to them, but I have listened to her a lot, and I did listen. My wife was listening to her before she got like uber popular, and she's got a lot of really good stuff to say. So pick up a Brené Brown book. You can't go wrong.
Any one of them.
Any one of them.
Mm-hmm.
One sales myth you wish would disappear.
Marketing is a cost center.
Ooh, say more about that.
There's just this, anyone in sales or marketing knows that there is this perception that marketing doesn't get it. They've never been in the trenches. They don't understand, which quite often is fair. Sure. And that, marketing is just fluff. It's just you put money into it, you don't get money out of it. Even, I don't know your organization, but even if that's true, your organization, then what are you going to do about it? You're going to build a relationship and have marketing like actually help you, or are you just going to complain about it and go rogue and make your own flyers that look like crap? You know the flyers I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. I
Yes.
sure do. I've got like 7 different pictures running through my head right now. All right. A recent spark of inspiration that has helped you.
Oh, people helping people. Look no further than this conversation, but also, just last week I was on a call with some people. They just happen to be some, badass women that are doing really cool things. And they were talking about one thing, and they were like, oh, cause we're all this far. They were all solopreneurs, and they were like, we're all this far in our business and we've all done this. And I raised my hand. I was like, I love that you're there. I'm still kind of new at this and I'm not there yet. So, that's really cool that you're there, but I'm not. And one of them reached out to me afterwards and was like, I would actually really love to help you get there. She's like,
okay.
Why not take all that I've learned and help you get there? And so, what could have turned into a bunch of people judging me or anybody else turned into like, oh gosh, I just didn't even think about that. Yeah, I'd love to help. So people helping people.
And what a bold thing for you. And what a bold thing for you as a 3 to say that. That was.
I should take Enneagram again.
And see, look, we go back to look. You were vulnerable, and then look what happened. Some people were touched and reached out. I love that. Yeah. All right, so finish this sentence. The best salespeople I know always blank.
Seek first to connect, not to convert.
Connect versus convert. All right. Mm-hmm. I love that. And then the very last one, like we talked about before we started, the Forrest Gump quote that life is like a box of chocolates. I believe that life is more like a box of matches. So if you had one match that you could pull out of your matchbox, all the things that you have that you were going to say, man, if you take away everything I've got, I want to keep this one thing. What would that one match be?
Trust.
Ooh.
What do you have if you don't have that?
Trust in others or trust in yourself? Which one would go first? See what I did there?
Dang. I was ready for that question, but not that one. Goodness. Well, the word that was going to come out of my mouth first was others, but I think the more I think about it, it's myself. Because again, if you have nothing else but you trust yourself, that's not a terrible place to be.
No, it's not. And one of the phrases that I've heard that I really, really like is when you have good people around you, which anybody listening to this podcast knows that I'm a big Jim Rohn fan, and we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Sure.
See that to my kids all the time.
And I don't remember who I heard this from, but I love the idea of borrowing belief or courage or trust from, like, if others trust you, but you don't trust yourself, you can borrow some of that trust.
Yeah.
And if you have the right people, that borrow relationship is really, really powerful because they're not loaning it with the intention of getting something back. They're loaning it because they know you need it.
Yes.
And There's nothing.
And they want you to have it.
Yes. And that is something.
That is something.
Lindsay, I feel like we could do this all day. I can't believe we've already talked as long as we have. Thank you so very much. I continue to be inspired by you. I love the BRAVE acronym that you have. I cannot wait to receive my card that I will put. I have a whole bunch of stuff hanging above my monitors, and I will hang it front and center. And I don't like to wish people luck because I don't believe in luck. So I will just tell you that I hope that you continue to kill it because you have a lot to give to this world. And I'm super thankful to know you.
Hey, right back at you. Seriously.
Thank you.
For sure.
I appreciate that. All right. Thanks for tuning in again, folks, to another episode of the SalesSpark Podcast. We'll see you on our next episode. Strike the match.